Well, a few well-chosen words from the US Federal Reserve has added trillions to share markets around the world. Investors piled back into shares after America's central bank made an extraordinary promise to keep interest rates at zero for 2 years. But it was all too late to influence the latest reading on consumer confidence, which took another hit from the earlier market turmoil. Investor confidence hasn't been resurrected by this rally either, with many warning it's merely a short chapter in a long-running debt story with many more heart-stopping moments to come. Here's Philip Lasker.
After days of high anxiety, there's nothing like a vertical line moving in the right direction.
That's very good.
It came from Wall Street, which soared nearly 5%, the most in more than 2 years. Markets didn't get another round of money printing from the US Federal Reserve, but then celebrated its historic promise to keep interest rates at zero for the next 2 years.
They read the statement at first and they said, well, they didn't do anything. And then they looked at it a little more and said, well, maybe they threw us a bone.
That bone sustained share markets around the world. But no matter where investors may be, the nagging questions remain.
And what about the future?
I think,
Quite frankly, this is really a momentum-driven market. The long-term players are really staying away until we see some form of stabilization.
Stable or not, some say it's insignificant in terms of the major global debt problem.
The sorting out of that problem is something that could take up to 20 years. And as that post-crisis environment unfolds, we will see continuing events such as we've seen in the last couple of weeks.
As expected, the turmoil has hit consumer confidence. Westpac's measure of consumer confidence fell again in August to its lowest level since the height of the global financial crisis.
My concern is that given that it had fallen 8.2% the previous month, and as you say, the Reserve Bank had not raised rates, to have it falling again from such low levels is a worry.
The survey was taken as the global market turmoil began, and it shows consumers are very negative about the future. Westpac is not calling a recession, but it's sticking to its forecast of a cut in official interest rates by Christmas.
We saw overnight where the US suggested we're going to keep rates at zero for 2 years, and an extraordinary statement like that is required to try and give some interest rate support to the economy. We don't need to do that, but we also need to recognise that there are times at which rates can drift too high, and this is one of those.
We've still got growth in China, for example, of pretty close to 9% next year, and my forecast for Australia is still about 4% for next year. So that to me is not an environment where the Reserve Bank's cutting interest rates.
No matter what the world view, it all depends on whether Australians keep their jobs, and policymakers will be hoping tomorrow's job numbers show they are.